Okay. Hi, everyone. Quick housekeeping. If you are a student, if you could please go to the chat section of the Teams call and put your first and last name. And if you are a member of a Greek organization, if you could please put your affiliation so that we can get you your proper CAP points. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our first Lunch and Learn. The Department of Fraternity and Sorority Life will be hosting a Lunch and Learn every month through the summer with the help from campus partners like Health Promotion and Wellness, who we have today, and some other special guests. So we hope you enjoy this one and you will join us again in June and July. So I'd like everyone to know that today's Lunch and Learn is being recorded and it will be uploaded onto onto our YouTube channel and our website for future viewing. And I'd like to thank Health Promotion and Wellness for agreeing to be our first Lunch and Learn partner. This Lunch and Learn is BYOL, bring your own lunch. So please feel free to eat your lunch while the presentation is going on. But be respectful and mute your microphone so we don't hear you chomping on your chips or eating your pork and potatoes like Adam is. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Trang Pham. Trang is a dietitian with Health Promotion and Wellness. She holds a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics from Georgia State, and she is also a trained professional chef with almost 20 years of culinary experience. Her passion is to use her nutrition knowledge and culinary expertise to help others achieve attainable nutrition goals and overall wellness. So once Trang's presentation is over, we will open the floor for any questions that you all might have for her for a quick Q&A section. So now I will turn it over to Trang.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mallory, for that introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. I am honored to help you kick off this Lunch and Learn series because in these times of uncertainty, I feel that it's more important than ever for you to eat well so that you can stay well. But I also know that, you're college students and you have tight budgets. So I'm here today to talk to you about eating healthy on a college budget. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen with you. Let's see here. All right, can y'all see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to put it into presentation mode and we'll get started. Or try to. Okay. Okay. All right, so as Mallory mentioned, I am a registered dietitian, and some of you may know what a registered dietitian does, and some of you may have even worked with one. But for those of you who don't, I'm happy to tell you that I am not the food police. I am a credentialed nutrition professional who provides evidence-based recommendations to assist clients like yourself with improving your relationship with food. So my philosophy as a dietitian is, rather than telling you what you should eat or shouldn't eat, what if I could empower you to feel confident in listening to your own body to know what food choices will enable you to maintain a sense of well-being? If I can do this, I would feel like that's a big win. I also know that in order to do this, it helps to understand what healthy eating is all about. So what is healthy eating? Healthy eating is not connected to your self-worth. It's non-judgmental and it should be intuitive. Healthy eating is consuming foods and beverages that helps you feel your best. It's also about giving your body nutrients from a variety of foods. It's eating what your body wants when your body needs it, and eating enough that leaves you feeling better afterwards and not still hungry. Healthy eating is about inclusion, not about avoidance. And healthy eating is not about perfection. None of us are perfect, so it's unrealistic to expect our diets to be perfect as well. So healthy doesn't have to be perfect. But most of all, healthy eating, I think, should be enjoyable. That means eating the foods that you like to eat. So what does healthy eating look like in the context of daily living? So with that, I'd like to bring up like how your healthy eating should be centered around a pattern of well-spaced meals and balanced eating. And healthy eating, I feel, starts with a balanced breakfast. So you've all heard that breakfast is the most important meal of your day. And that's the reason for that is that it gives you energy to start your day. And breakfast begins at different times for different people. I mean, it could be 6:30 for some people, could be 8, or it could be 2 these days with all of us working, from home and learning remotely. But the general rule is to have a quote unquote breakfast within 1 to 2 hours of waking up. So what should you eat? Well, I think you should eat what makes you feel your best. For some people, it's cereal, others it's eggs, some people it's oatmeal. It's what makes you feel your best. You should be mindful and focus on choosing foods from different nutrient groups. So the three main macronutrient groups are protein, carbohydrate, and fat. And if your breakfast includes each one of these things, then it should be balanced. So great protein sources are meats, eggs, nuts, and dairy products like milk or yogurt, and also dairy alternatives. Great carbohydrate sources are grains, starchy vegetables, beans, squash, potatoes, as well as fruit, milk, and yogurt. And good sources of fat are your butters and your oils, your cheeses that can include cream cheese, hard cheeses, your nut butters, avocados, as well as regular fat in milk. So what does healthy eating look like for lunch and dinner? So if you have no idea where to start, the My Plate or the plate method is a great starting point. So imagine if you have your plate here and you draw a line right down the middle. If you were following the My Plate or the plate method, half of that plate should be made up of non-starchy vegetables. And these are the vegetables that are not the potatoes, the corn, the peas, those more starchy vegetables. So these are the vegetables like your lettuces, your peppers, cucumbers, green beans, those types of vegetables. So half of your plate should be made up of non-starchy vegetable. Then concentrate on making a quarter of your plate the starchy foods. So these can be the starchy vegetables like your beans, your like legume beans, not the green beans, but legume beans. It could be your potatoes, it could be pasta, rice, it could be breads. Those are the starchy foods. So make sure that just half a quarter of your plate is made up of those types of food. Then the remaining quarter of your plate should be made up of lean protein. That could be meat, that could be tofu, whatever type of protein you like to eat. And then one portion of this should be made up of some kind of dairy. Milk, low-fat milk is a great option here because that brings in your calcium. And then to round everything out, should have a serving of fruit. And if you can include fruit, milk, non-starchy veggies, starchy foods, protein, if you can incorporate all of these things, you should have a balanced plate for lunch or dinner. So let's see what that looks like in real life. This could be a balanced My Plate for dinner. Here you have your non-starchy vegetables in the Brussels sprouts and mushrooms. Here is your grain or starchy food, and here is your protein. Here is your milk, your dairy, and here's your fruit serving. Let's see another example. This could also be a My Plate plate. Here are your veggies, protein, starch, milk, and the applesauce is your fruit. To give you another example, your salad, this is a chicken salad, your toast, pineapple, and milk. And here you see a spoon, this is mayonnaise. So within this balanced My Plate way of eating, you're also allowed fats, because you need fats, your body needs fats for proper functioning. It's a very important part of nurturing your brain as well as cell membranes. So you do need it, but be mindful of the amount. So here you have a teaspoon. So you can have that with your plate and it would still be a balanced, healthy plate. So that's what it looks like in the context of lunch and dinner. So let's talk about snacks. So the general rule is that you should try not to go for more than 3.5 or 4 hours without eating to help keep your energy levels up. And snacks can really help you to do that. So snacks should come from at least 2 food groups, one being a protein. And you should try to incorporate foods that you miss at meals, food groups that you miss at meal. So for example, here, this is your hummus. This would be your protein. So you can add veggies here, raw veggies, or you can add pita, that's from your starch. Or if you're especially hungry that day, maybe it might be all of these things. But you can do this, you can do this and this, or you can do all of it. Here's another example of a snack that's healthy and balanced. You've got your peanut butter, that's your protein. You can add your carbohydrates in the form of fruit, pretzels, celery sticks. So whatever it is that you feel that you want to do, but you just want to keep that protein. And here's another example. Turkey meat. This is lunch meat is a great source of protein. Just be mindful of the sodium. If you can get the low sodium kind, that would be great. If you can't, you can rinse it under running water to remove some of the sodium content. So this is your protein. And this right here is supposed to be cottage cheese. So it's a carbohydrate as well as a protein. So maybe that day you didn't have as much protein, or you had a no protein in your lunch and or your breakfast, and you want to add more, you can have both of these things. And then here's your carbohydrate in the form of fruit. So you get the idea. You can pick and choose in combinations, but snacks are a great way to get you from one meal to the next without having you being starved and hangry by the time you get to that next meal. So let's talk about being on a budget, because all college students are. And you have a tight budget and you have to stay within it. So how can you eat healthy but also make that budget stretch? So I have some suggestions for you. First, buy produce that are in season. So each season when produce is harvested at their peak ripeness or peak maturity, the produce supplies goes up, and this drives down the prices, just simple economics. So this really allows you to get some great deals on seasonal produce. So to know what produce are in season so you can take advantage of cheaper prices, you can refer to seasonal guides like this one that we created that's listed. I think it's posted on our social media that you can download or copy. And you can it will allow you to know what produce are in season in Georgia so you can take advantage of the cheaper prices. Another good way to buy in-season produce is to go to a farmer's market. Things being the way they are, I don't know what the situation are with farmers market, but in the past, pre-pandemic, when farmers market were thriving and just popping up everywhere, it was a great way for you to make sure that you're buying produce that are in season, and it's also a great way to support the local farmers in our community. So when produce and everything is in season, and if you're eating seasonally, buy in bulk and eat what you can, but freeze the leftover produce so that you can enjoy flavorful, nutrient-dense produce all year round. So this was a little video that we did, and we have it posted in our social media sites that kind of reminds you about eating seasonally in Georgia. I'm going to play it, and if for some reason I mess something up and you can't hear the sound, can someone please let me know and I'll try to fix it, okay? Here we go. Okay, so if you want to look at that video again or see our infographic on seasonally eating in Georgia, feel free to go to our social media sites and download and watch those things again. So another good idea is rather than spending two, three, or more dollars on flavored water, you can stretch that budget by making your own infused water. They are inexpensive and very easy to make, and the options are limitless. You're just basically limited to your imagination and your flavor preferences. And another really good strategy for making that budget stretch is to buy in bulk. So typically buying in bulk is going to be cheaper per unit than buying each one of those items, individually. But before you buy in bulk, you should consider three things. Do you have the storage space for the increased amount of items that you're going to have on hand? Will you really use or eat this item? Because just because it's available in bulk, if you're not going to use it or eat it, most likely you're going to be throwing away, and then that's going to be wasting money instead of saving money. And then will you eat or use all of this product before it spoils? And if you answer yes to all three of these questions, then maybe buying in bulk, might be an option for you, and you might want to give it a try. So if you want more information, you can go to this video here that's also listed on the health promotion and wellness social media pages to get more information and more tips on buying in bulk, as well as other eating on budget tips. I'm not going to play it today because I don't want this lunch to go 2 hours or so. So you can watch that on your own, but that's what it looks like. Okay, and I also want to stretch that when you're in the grocery store, you really need to compare prices to see which item is truly the best deal. So make sure that you're comparing like products, so chili powder to chili powder to chili powder, not, Chinese five spice or something like that. So make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, and then look at the prices and the breakdown. And sometimes the different spice containers are in different sizes, and at that point you might have to break it. Might have to look at price per ounce instead of price per unit. But just make sure that you compare those prices to make sure that you are getting the best deals. Another way to make that budget stretch is to use grocery store apps. They usually give you the weekly ad so you know what the specials are, so you can take advantage of things that are on sale. There's oftentimes coupons and rewards for, loyalty rewards. So, that could really add up. And some of the apps have a shopping list for you to jot down what it is that you're going to need. So I also encourage you to stock up on pantry staples, and then to build your meals around these staples. And these are very inexpensive staples that you should probably have on hand all of the time, because they're very simple. They don't require refrigeration, and they last for a long time. With maybe the potatoes might not, but these other three are very, they last a long time, and they're very inexpensive. So pasta, for example, is only about 5.5 cents per ounce. Dry legumes like black beans is about 4 cents an ounce. And then rice is about 11 cents an ounce. And these potatoes are only 5.5 cents an ounce. So, they're very economical, and they're great meal starters. So in this time of uncertainty, I feel like I really have to stress the safety that the safety precautions that you should take when you are shopping. So if you go on our health promotion and wellness website, we have this smart shopping tip flyer that you can download and use. So this flyer basically kind of gives you suggestions for items that you should stock for your pantry, as well as items that you can stock for your freezer. And it has these nice little check box so you can check off what it is that you need. And I kind of like it because we don't just tell you get this and don't tell you why. For example, like the popcorn, we tell you why it's a good source. And this way you can check it off, you can use it, you can take it with you to the grocery store. So when you go in, you can get what you need to get, and then come out of there quickly, because we want to limit your exposure when you're at the grocery store. And by all means, please observe the CDC's recommendation for wearing masks in public settings where physical distancing may be difficult to maintain, and that includes grocery stores and pharmacy. So I'm going to play this really quick video that I think has some really good tips on how to shop safely during these times of uncertainty.
You might be told, stay home, limit outings, and limit contact with other people. But we all need to eat. Is food shopping safe? And what about takeout? Here's what we know. Coronavirus mainly spreads from person to person by inhaling respiratory droplets. This is when someone coughs, sneezes, or when the virus hangs in the air, like a fine mist for a few hours. With this in mind, let's walk through how you can safely grocery shop. The good news is that experts don't think coronavirus spreads through food, but it does live on surfaces. It breaks down over time until it's inactive. How long that takes depends on the surface, ranging from several hours to a few days. Some ways you might come into contact with coronavirus in the store is when you hold the grocery cart handle, grab boxes off the shelf, and bag your food. Because it can still live on surfaces, it can come home with you from the store. Here are some things you can do to reduce your risk while shopping. Shop less often. Always stay 6 feet away from others. That's the length of about 2 shopping carts. Never touch your face. And use hand sanitizers and sanitizing wipes while you're in the store. As soon as you can, wash your hands.
Oops, I think something went wrong. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Something went wrong on my end and it kicked me out. Okay, let me see how this. All right, let me see here. If I can just, I don't know what's going on. Tech difficulty. All right, let me go. Oop. Okay, let me pick up with him. I think we were about right.
And use hand sanitizers and sanitizing wipes while you're in the store. As soon as you can, wash your hands well with soap and water. At home, here are some extra precautions you can take when unpacking groceries. Toss out paper and plastic bags from the store. When you can, take items out of the box they come in, like a cereal bag, and discard the box. Wash produce with water or produce cleaner as you normally would. Remember, never use household cleaners or chemicals on food. Overall, the risk of getting COVID-19 from packages and food is thought to be low based on our current understanding. Sometimes we need a change of pace. If you order takeout, choose delivery or curbside pickup. This limits the number of people you come into contact with. Stick with cooked food and reheat well before eating. And follow the same routine for bags and containers that you did with your groceries. In the best of times, good hygiene is key, and it's vital now. Always wash all surfaces used for food prep and wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. This goes for before and after handling food. Do your best to shop safely and eat a balanced diet, because taking care of yourself during this time is really important.
Okay, if for some reason I didn't start the video where it left off when I got kicked out of the meeting, we definitely can give you the link to this so that you can watch it in its entirety if you need to. Okay, another suggestion that I have for making that budget stretch is to try to incorporate meatless meals into your weekly eating routine to really make those budget dollars count. So like this black beans and rice skillet recipe that we prepared came out to be only about $2.21 per serving, and it serves about we estimated about 6 servings. So they can be a really economical way and, you know, just kind of a change up from your regular eating routine. I want to encourage you about batch cooking. So this is a great strategy to cook large batches of food and refrigerate or freeze part of it to eat another day when you're too busy to cook or you just don't want to cook. So you can kind of think of it as cooking once and eating twice or thrice or maybe 4 times. And don't overlook the convenience foods that can really help you pull a meal together quickly and effortlessly at home. And I think that the more you eat at home, the more it will help you to save money because, you know, eating out can really add up. So some great convenience foods that I would recommend is instant rice, canned tuna, hummus and pita, rotisserie chicken, which is so versatile. You can do so many things with it. Your nuts and your nut butters, your frozen veggies that can be steamed or microwaved very quickly to be served as a side. And pre-cut veggies, especially for those of you who, you know, are not feeling confident with the knife skills, pre-cut veggies are a great way to have your vegetables without having to worry about cutting things up, or even the produce waste that's associated with processing a whole veggie. It's already made for you, very convenient. And then also canned beans, like your black beans, your pinto beans, those are great convenience foods. And these are items that can help you pull together a meal, a homemade meal, very quickly. And maybe consider packing your lunch to bring with you to school or when you're out and about to save money. Because let's face it, eating out for lunch regularly can add up, and over time it can really blow your budget. So for those of you who are a little bit kitchen shy and you feel like you don't have the best of cooking skills, or you're not confident in your cooking skills, these are some really easy meal ideas that I would recommend. They're very simple, using some convenience food and some non-convenient food, and it just allows you to quickly pull together a meal, a well-balanced meal. So I already mentioned that I love rotisserie chicken. So with the rotisserie chicken, you can add some instant rice and some steamed vegetables or microwave vegetables, and there you have a balanced meal. Think about the frozen pizza. You don't have to eat it as is, the way it's packaged. You can add extra vegetables to get that boost in your vegetable intake. A pasta that you can quickly pull together includes whole wheat noodles, spaghetti sauce, and chicken sausage, or maybe some of that rotisserie chicken that you have left over. You can put all of that together and it's a pasta. And if you add a side salad to it, it's a balanced meal. Think about flip-flopping your routine and having breakfast for dinner instead, or a grilled cheese made with whole wheat bread, turkey, Canadian bacon, whatever lunch meat you have on hand, some spinach and tomatoes, or maybe even a baked potato bar, like kind of like the potato wedges with the pulled pork, I think, that someone's having for lunch today. What are some of your tips? Are there tips that you would like to share? Well, you can type it in and let us know. Y'all can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You're all very quiet. I just want to make sure you're still there. And then once we're up and running again, our cooking demos, hopefully, we'll have that up and coming in some form in the fall. If they are up and running, I would encourage you to participate in these cooking demos. They fill up very quickly and they're very fun. We feature recipes that are economical as well as easy to prepare. And the idea is that we want to teach you knife skills, food safety skills, and some culinary skills so that you can walk away from one of these cooking demos feeling like you can prepare this meal at home on your own. But the best part, I think, of the cooking demo is that at the end, you get to taste what you made, and students really like that. They're a lot of fun. And if you haven't had a chance to attend one of these, I would encourage you to do so once we're up and running again. So at the end of this presentation, which is pretty much now, there's an evaluation link that Sherry is going to update, and we would love for you to fill this out. It helps us to kind of know what to tweak, and it helps us to prepare for future presentations. And this is the link for it right here. We'll definitely give it to you, Mallory, so you can email it to the participants today. And then I just
send that out.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I just said we'll definitely send that out.
Okay. All right. And I just want to thank you for having me here today and asking me to speak about one of my favorite topics. And I hope that you found the information to be helpful and useful. And, if you have any questions, feel free to ask at this time. Let me unshare my screen here. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Trang. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? You can type them in the conversation or say them, it doesn't matter. Who was that?
Can y'all hear me? It was me, Kayla. Hi, my name's Kayla. I just had a quick question. Well, I actually had two. One's kind of random, but when it comes to cheese products, are those closer? I can never decide if it's a dairy, a fat, or a protein. Because some of my old dietitian says depending on the cheese, sometimes it doesn't have enough dairy to be a dairy product, so it's closer to a protein. But I don't really I don't know how to differentiate that.
She's absolutely right. The protein, it's more of a combination food than it is, one or the other. And then it depends on the cheese as well, like your other dietitian said. The protein content in some cheeses are higher than others. But I would encourage you to look at more as a dairy and, and just yeah, look at it more as a dairy and think of it more as a combination food because it will have protein, it will have carbohydrate, and depending on if it's like a full fat cheese or a low fat cheese, it will have fat in it in some form or another. Some will have more than others.
Okay, thank you. Also have one more question.
Sure.
Do you know when dietitian services at the KSU Well Center will be back up? I know that they're closed, like the center's closed for like 90 days. Are dietitians going to be doing online kind of Zoom calls and meetings?
That I am not really sure about because that dietitian is under WellStar. So I'm not really sure. Did they give you any kind of guidelines as to what you can do when they're closed down for those 3 months?
Not really. They kind of referred me to one of my old dietitians, but I was kind of hoping to just use the same one. But if I had to wait, like I've been able to email and contact her and they've been really good about that. I was just curious because I'd heard that they were closing for a good bit.
Yeah, I would encourage, it's Julie that you're talking about, right?
Yes, Julie.
Okay. Yeah, I would encourage you to keep, emailing her and see like what they're doing on their end in terms of providing services. And it could just be, a discontinuation for those 3 months, but definitely check in with Julie and she would be able to give you more information because they're a little bit separate from, health promotion and wellness. So even though we're both dietitians, we work for like different departments.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
See, I believe there's a question in the chat from Shawanda Brooks. Mallory, did you want to read it or did you want me to?
So Shawanda asks, is it better to purchase packaged and pre-cut fruit or the fresh fruit that we cut on our own?
I think that just depends on the availability. So, with the current condition being the way they are, sometimes it's difficult to find certain fruits because, we just don't have the supply because they're not being picked or they're not being trucked here or whatever. I always encourage you to eat fresh if you can, but fresh in season because just because fresh strawberries are available, let's say in January, that doesn't mean that it's going to be as nutritious, not as nutrition dense as say the frozen strawberry, because those strawberries are out of season. Whereas like say the frozen variety, it's packed at the time of peakness, at that perfect point where it's going to be the most flavorful, it's going to be most nutrient dense. So I would encourage you to do the whole fruit if it's in season. And then to get back to what you were saying about the pre-packaged, it's definitely a convenience thing. But keep in mind that once you cut fruit, you're going to be, and the more it's exposed to the air, to the environment, it's going to lose some of the nutrients. So you want to cut it and eat it, in as soon as possible. But convenience wise, if you don't have the option of doing that, the cut veggies or fruit is fine.
And I have a question. Right now, do you think washing fruits with water is, good enough, or should we maybe look into vegetable washes or different things? I know people have, concoctions of stuff that they like soak their fruit in, or do you think washing them with water is okay right now?
I think with that, I would defer to what the CDC guidelines are. If you have the fruit washes, I think those are great. I've seen people use like a very diluted detergent, dishwashing detergent solution, and are washing or rinsing their fruit with that. But with any of those products, just make sure that you rinse your produce very, very well to remove, any residue, whether it be you're using, dishwashing detergent or the fruit wash, but just to rinse very well to remove any residue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or any tips that any of you would like to share about how you're able to make your budget stretch that, I didn't include in the presentation that I might possibly include in future presentations? Everyone's very quiet today.
I'm not great on having tips for budgeting. I'm still trying to work on, budgeting my grocery shopping. I know every time I go, it ends up being more expensive than I budgeted for. Is there a certain store you recommend? I mean, I use what's closest to me, which is Publix, but I know that that's going to be more pricey than Kroger, which is probably more pricey than Walmart or Aldi or anything like that. Is there like a favorite grocery store you have, or is it more about convenience?
I think that it just depends on, on you. I mean, if the transportation is an issue, then definitely, the store that's closest to you makes the most sense. But if you have a way to get to a store, and it's not like crazy far away or anything like that, I know that I've had a lot of success with Aldi's prices being much lower than Kroger or Publix, especially. And so I use them a lot. And then, I do a lot of shopping at Costco, where I buy in bulk because I do have the storage space. So if, but then the thing with Costco is that you have to have a membership. And if you don't have a membership, then that doesn't make sense. But overall, to me, the grocery store, and I don't work for them and I don't have any relatives that work for them or anything. I seem to get the best deal out of Aldi's, but then, with their produce too, sometimes it's kind of iffy. So like if you have a good relationship with the employees there, they can kind of tell you the day that the truck comes in. And then those days, it's like the produce is just top notch.
Good to know. Does anyone have any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you all so much for being here and attending our Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much, Trang. We're giving you a virtual round of applause for your presentation, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm doing a virtual bow here. So yeah, I encourage y'all to, check with our the health promotion and wellness social media sites, because we're uploading things all the time about nutrition. I mean, we do a minimum of 2 things a week with our social media. We're either doing a nutrition workshop, we're posting videos, cooking videos for you to watch that they're not very long. They're, short little things of things that we think might be of interest to you. And, we're doing nutrition tips. I think I mentioned earlier, for those of you who joined us late, this coming Friday, oh gosh, that's tomorrow, we're going to be posting a nutrition workshop that we did. It's a Fruit Ninja video where we're talking about the 10 most healthiest fruits that you should definitely think about eating or including in your daily eating plan. So we encourage you to check that out. And I encourage you to just like maybe go back and look at some of the things that were featured today in this presentation.
Awesome, thank you. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all's Instagram is at KSU Wellness, correct? And that's where they can find you.
Is that correct, Sherry? Do you know? I believe so, but
I'm checking because I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I believe it is. And if it's not, we'll definitely give you the correct.
Yep. Yep.
One
At
that's confirmed is right.
it is KSU at KSU Wellness to follow them on Instagram and get all of those tips and updates and stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoyed this again, and we will see you next time.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.